Rawr! Hello and welcome to Midnight Readings. Today we'll be reading The Princess and the Moon, written by Littlewood. And as always, these are our amazing Patreons. Link is in the description if you wish to join, and it does help our little Luna get all her food. Help, she's taken over. Anywho, shall we get back to it? Celestia is many things. The Princess of Equestria, hero to the Crystal Empire, bearer of the elements, and the Solar Alicorn. She just hoped she could still be called a sister. These were some of the many thoughts that bombarded Celestia. However, one thought triumphed over all. How could she raise the moon tonight? Ponies from the surrounding villages had already sent their messages panicking. Why was the day cut short? Why was there a sonic rainbow? And why was the moon still hanging in the sky? Celestia did her best to address the fears of her subjects and the other leaders. There were meetings, quick revisions of equestrian law to make her the sole princess, and messages sent to the other lands informing them that Princess Celestia would be the only ruler of Equestria and the celestial bodies. Once the politics were in order, Princess Celestia finally sent away her guard to evacuate the castle while making her way to the towers to lower the moon. Celestia figured it was time for the moon to be lowered now anyways, having only missed a day to the perpetual night. Nightmare Moon fought with Celestia for the entire day, whereas the nobles occupied Celestia's time during the night. Both ordeals left Celestia exhausted. The last thing she wanted to do was lower the moon. It was bitterly ironic, and left a sour taste in her mouth. Yet she pushed the feelings down as she climbed the stairs, until she reached one of the mahogany doors. When she finally made it up the stairs, she crumpled against the door. With ponies gone, her mask slipped away in kind, and the weight of the world was once again bearing its might against her heart. First, Princess Platinum passed of old age, then Star Swirl, and the pillars disappeared, and now her best friend, her little sister, was sent away by her own hooves. Celestia was truly alone. Tears forced their way from her magenta eyes as she sobbed loudly. No pony was there to hear her scream, her cursed time ripping away every pony close to her. She cursed Star Swirl for leaving her. She cursed the elements for banishing Luna and the nightmare. Celestia knew in her heart that it was unfair to blame such trivial things on her isolation. But life was unfair to her, so she screamed and pounded her golden hooves against the floor. As her lungs finally caught up for air, her vocal cords now strained and burning, Celestia cracked open her tired eyes and took in the room. Pale moonlight touched everything in its silver illuminance, but it wrapped its own light in a soothing embrace against Celestia's frame. It was Luna's room. Celestia could feel her heart pound in her ears. Despite the nightmare warping Luna, her room remained untouched by the darkness and destruction it brought. The room was modest for royalty, but bled Luna's essence in every little thing. Paintings of ponies and places of old dotted the blue inlaid with silver, each lovingly signed with a wispy signature. Her canopy bed was abundant with plush pillows and blankets that still carried Luna's scent, and the books were strewn about the room, recounting stories of the stars or revealing poetic accounts of history past. It was welcoming, calming, and so Luna. It hurt Celestia. Luna complimented Celestia with her very being. Luna was artistic, rumbant and candid to her scholarly perfunctory and correlating self. Luna was the patron of the arts, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times, and everything Celestia couldn't dare try to replicate. It hurt that all that remained of Luna was her room, soon to be abandoned, with the castle of memories. A wet sigh came from Celestia as she stood to her full height, forcing her way to the open balcony. Before her, the damage was lain bare, with scars marring the castle and forest alike. It broke Celestia's heart that the castle was being abandoned for Canterlots in the north, but it was for the best. She pulled her eyes towards the sky where the moon greeted her. Celestia bowed her head as she reached out with her golden magic. It stretched across the moon, encompassing it in her warmth, and she flinched at the foreign contact. The sun was overly passionate with lavish excitement to start a new day, ready to enforce its might in the Ozra sky as the bringer of warmth and light, always willing to work on behalf of Celestia. The moon, in contrast, was uncompromising and pulled away from her touch. Thankfully, the nightmare didn't touch it as well, despite the ugly silhouette, but it didn't bend to Celestia's will either. Please, please work with me here, Celestia muttered. The moon whispered back to her, almost in riddles of secrets and questions alike. She relinquished tugging on the rocky surface, but maintained the blanket of magic covering it. Celestia couldn't understand what it was saying, but it was as if it was singing a melancholy song, overcome with worry. Celestia dipped her head further as tears pricked her eyes once again. The moon still sang, this time urging her, begging her to answer it, as it gripped her magic in kind. Luna is gone. At this, the moon reached out to Celestia, something the sun never did. She looked up, her magic dissipating. As the stars danced and the moon remained unflinching, it still whispered its somber notes. Its notes quaved with pain and hurt, but unlike Celestia, it forgave her. Celestia cried freely with the moon, as they shared their pain to the stars above, both no longer in solitude, but in solidarity. When the moon reached the end of its tragic melody, and Celestia had no more tears to cry, she reached out, meeting it halfway. The moon began humming once again, as the magic between the lunar body and the solar mare weaved against each other's energy. The moon lowered itself below the horizon, imparting its goodbyes and condolences to Celestia with its last stanza. It was time for a new day in Equestria, but at least she had the moon. I don't think many people touch on this part of how she was able to control the moon when her magic is actually to do with the sun, and how lonely she must have been after that. The mess that she had to clean up without being able to mourn for Luna. That was The Princess and the Moon, written by Littlewood. I hope you all enjoyed, and keep watching that moon, everyone.